this piece. And we will talk to Chris right now. Chris, thanks for being here. First, you've become a cause celeb on Twitter for discussing this. Good afternoon, and tell us all about this.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me. There's nothing more than fans like to talk about than the actual broadcast they're watching. Sometimes more than the game itself. It's the broadcasters, it's the game, it's where you're watching it, it's whatever. And this is an idea. This is something I've thought about for a long time. Back in the fall about what is future of streaming in college football, but it really kind of came together with the New York Post report yesterday that Apple TV Plus is looking at Pac-12 rights, potentially all of the rights. And so I kind of just wanted to put together, I don't think this is a great situation for everybody, but I also don't know if there's a clean answer for everybody.
And not to get too deep into television, streaming is obviously the rage, but it does still seem, I don't know, maybe more awkward for sports than it is for other things. And I don't know why, but I'll lean on you to try to explain, because we saw this with Amazon and the NFL. It seemed difficult for some people to get there, where it used to be a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, for a decade now, people have talked about there being a sports TV bubble. The bubble for TV rights was going to eventually burst, and it was going to go down because cable subscribers were going down. But people realized cable subscribers are going down, and sports, specifically football, are the only thing keeping them up where they are. I mean, that's where the only place you can really get the NFL for the most part for a long time. And so sports are now keeping live TV alive. It's not the same thing happening on streaming where you've got bits and pieces going on to Peacock. The Big Ten's going to put basketball games on Peacock. You've got the SEC obviously has some games on ESPN Plus. Big 12 has done that as well. Baseball is on Apple TV Plus. So it's now to fully watch, to be a sports fan, you now have to pay for a lot more things than maybe you used to. And I think that's caused a lot of frustration among fans.
Yeah, I feel somewhat reluctant to even talk about this considering where I work and where this program is emanating from, because there's no question ESPN is the largest item that you pay for on a cable bill, is it not?
Yes, I don't know the exact numbers, but if it's not the highest, it's one of the highest. And that's the real issue here, is that these companies that are moving to streaming, you're paying less of a price for that than you are for cable. So we're not having a clean break from cable to streaming. It's not like the TV's turning off and now you got to go to streaming. It's mixing and matching both of those right now, and companies are in this weird spot where the linear TV is the one that's still making them the money. They're not making money on streaming yet. They're losing billions of dollars, a lot of different companies are, on streaming. So can you make that a quicker or softer push, or is that not going to work out at the end? Netflix is profitable now, but it took a long time to get there, and it's not clear if these other places are going to be able to do that. And so you've got kind of hands in both of them right now, where fans have to watch some games, you have to have cable to watch them, but you also might have to pay to watch some others too.
Chris, I realize you cover sports, but since you're writing about television, can you explain why it's so difficult to turn a profit on streaming?
Well, production costs are immense for content, for the technology to do it all, and also the price. I mean, you can get, I don't know exactly what every price is, but $5, $10, $15 is generally what you're paying per month for a lot of this stuff. And that's not necessarily equal what maybe ESPN is getting through all of its different cable rights fees. I mean, Disney has to, I know we're on SEC Network here, but Disney has said, we don't want to get rid of ESPN. Because ESPN is making us money. Like, it wouldn't be business sense at this point to get rid of it. So it's kind of this weird spot in between now where, is streaming the future? Maybe, but the numbers haven't quite been there yet, where you're not losing billions of dollars. And these companies now are making some pretty drastic cuts, cutting back on content, sometimes making layoffs, hoping to get profitable by 2024, 2025. But if the economy goes in a bad direction, maybe that changes as well. All of these companies, really except for Fox, when it comes to sports, jumped into streaming standalone. You've got Peacock, you've got Disney Plus, ESPN Plus, Paramount Plus. Fox didn't really do that, and they feel like they're in a pretty good spot right now because they're not losing billions of dollars on doing something like that.
And when the Big 12 story came out, I I didn't view it very positively. What does this portend? In terms of where we go from here, and I ask you that knowing that most of the media rights deals, the big ones, are done, are they not?
Yes, the Pac-12's in a difficult spot right now. That doesn't mean they can't come up with a good deal. That doesn't mean they're not going to be okay. I still think the odds are that they'll be okay and that they'll stick together for this next media rights deal. But, Fox has already said they're not really interested in re-upping with the Pac-12. And so if you're the Pac-12, you're kind of running out of options. You're talking with ESPN. You're talking with Amazon, and now you're talking maybe with Apple. But I don't think Apple and Amazon are going to be the kind of leverage you want to try to get a better deal out of ESPN. All these media deals, you need companies bidding on you. That's why the Big Ten and SEC got such big deals, because so many people watch their games. Everybody wants to get involved. That's why the Big Ten is now going to be on 3 different broadcast networks moving forward. The Pac-12 is not as valuable. And when the Big 12 decided to jump ahead and take a deal that was probably under market value, but it gave them security and it kept them together and it got them with a pretty good deal, the Pac-12 was suddenly starting to run out of options. And so it was in the New York Post report yesterday that Apple TV, considering maybe all of the Pac-12 goes on Apple TV+. That's what MLS, Major League Soccer, is doing. I don't think that's a good answer. Maybe that's just being used as leverage, as a possibility to try to drive up the price on what the Pac-12 can get.
Chris, as we wrap this up, I'm trying to think of what's left. Obviously, the Pac-12 is the centerpiece of this, but fairly soon, at some point, we are going to get into the CFP television conversation. This first 2 years, I still don't know what it's going to look like. Maybe you do, but do we have any idea what all this is going to be worth as we finally got this 12-team playoff, and we're about to find out who wants it?
Well, one of the reasons they finally pushed forward and completed the 12-team playoffs is because they knew they were leaving billions of dollars on the table by not expanding it. Fox has already said it wants to get involved. It wants to broadcast the CFP, much like multiple networks broadcast the NFL playoffs and stuff like that. So the playoff is still going to bring in a lot of money. And for those conferences like the Pac-12, like the ACC, the ones that aren't at the SEC and Big Ten level, that's good. That'll be extra money that you need. How it breaks up, we don't know yet. At the current moment, the Power 5 conferences get equal money. That may not be the case in 2026 and beyond when they do the new TV deal. That's one of the biggest things they're going to have to deal with. And that's ultimately the thesis of what the column was. If you're the SEC, if you're the Big Ten, if you're the NFL, the NBA, the CFP, you're going to be okay. TV networks are still going to bid heavily and try to get your rights because you have a lot of viewers. But if you're the Pac-12, if you're maybe the Big 12 the next time it comes around, if you're smaller conferences, smaller leagues, you're kind of running out of room because more and more of that available money is going to the big leagues like the Big Ten and the SEC.
Great stuff. We'll leave it there. Chris Vannini from The Athletic. Always fascinating to check in with Chris. We'll take a short break here. Much more from you on the phones at 855-240.